All right, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. This is so amazing that we are sitting in the house of Allah subhanahu wa
So
ta'ala.
it's true, subhanAllah.
Right.
Look at this, look at the timing and the
Look at
place.
what time is it right now,
It's
technically?
11 o'clock, literally 11:01.
It's 11:01, and just to give a context to anybody listening out there, I'm flying from Atlanta, Georgia, all the way here. You are flying
from Heathrow.
from Heathrow Airport.
London Heathrow.
And
down
Allah
to-
subhanahu wa ta'ala has put us together here in the masjid of Riyadh Airport.
Yeah. this is it.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Look how it was surprising how quickly times
Alhamdulillah.
went.
And I was able to finally put my son to sleep, and he's sleeping right next to us.
Snoring.
And the conversation started when I just requested somebody to move because he was still wearing his cochlears, and they were turned on. And the lady next to me that I'm talking to, Aisha, she said I'm very familiar with it, and that really surprised me because it's something that I didn't knew a year back when
Yeah.
my son didn't get diagnosed, right? So I had zero idea what cochlear is. So Aisha, tell us now something about yourself. And we had a lovely conversation so far. I wish we had pressed a
It's funny because when we started the conversation,
Yeah.
you said, "Oh, I need to record," but it just happens.
Yeah.
So where do I start?
Yeah.
I was starting. I've got 2 kids, alhamdulillah. So my
Mm.
son is 12, and he said I look young. So
Yeah.
thank you very much. I did have them young. So my
Yeah.
son is 12, and my daughter's 7.
Mhm.
And then just to kind of balance work life out, I started working in my local high school, which my son attends right now, and he
Uh-huh.
hates seeing me in the corridor. And I'll always, like, if he's really annoyed me in the day, I'll walk past and like, "Hi, baby," and he like walks off really grumpy. So I work in my local high
Teenagers
school.
years ahead of
absolutely.
you.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, I'm ready for it.
Uh-huh.
I've been working with it for so long now, so I'm used to it. So I work in the local high school, which has a special autism special centre. We do loads of SEND support across the board, but we have Autism Special Centre, which our kids go to mainstream classes. They're in with all their friends. They'll make friends with the mainstream kids, but we give them that support, something maybe just regulate their emotions, maybe sometimes understand social situations. A lot of the times the kids don't mean harm when they joke with the kids, but they take it offensively. Sit in their lesson, support them, joke, and actually we're kind of a glue between the mainstream kids and not the neurotypical children to the neurodiverse children. We kind of stick them in together.
I'm
and
just
make it
gonna
work.
pause and reflect on all these terminologies because, as I said, and many of my listeners, they are not aware of these terminologies.
Yeah.
So even like myself, I would have never appreciated what ADHD is to
Yeah,
begin with.
yeah.
But then this
Neurodiverse.
diverse.
So neurodiverse covers autism, ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia. There's probably loads more and loads of traits within autism that we don't even aware, and I wasn't aware of. If
Right.
you asked me 4 years ago, I would have said either autism and ADHD, and that's probably the two that I was known because they're broadly known as.
Right.
But there's so many traits within that we just miss, and both being South Asian, so I'm Pakistani as well. Both
Yeah.
being South Asian, I think we grew up around the stigma of we don't talk about those things.
Right.
You don't really have them unless the kid is low functioning autism.
Right.
If they're high functioning autism, we just say they're either sada, or we say he's a bit ziddy. 'Cause,
Right.
they're stuck in their ways, they're stuck in that routine,
Right.
and they essentially beat them out of it, don't they?
Yeah.
They hit them, whatever it is. But we need to educate our South Asian communities because our children are really precious to us.
Right.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us to protect our children, and the teaching of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is
Right. And this is what made me bring out my computer and say that I need to record this because honestly, when I started my journey, my topmost dua was to set up the whole team for inshallah for all the experiences that we have gone through,
Yeah.
like for ASEAN also with the thing about little ear and big world. So
Yeah.
this is the seed when you were saying
This-
this,
yeah.
it was like amazing that no doubt we just take these terms like for our case it was just like बच्चा बोल नहीं रहा है सब
Yeah.
बच्चे बोल लेते हैं कुछ
Yeah.
देर से बोल लेंगे
Yeah.
some are late talkers, so
Yeah,
we
yeah,
never
this is it.
investigate even
No.
as to what's going on, and we just
Absolutely
put the
not.
person on the side. And if let's say we would have gone for those words and we would have not gone for a medical checkup and things like that, by the time you're 4 or 5, if you have not heard, you're
Yeah.
not able to speak.
Yeah. But
right?
I know someone of our family friends, they said that they had their son from America and got him diagnosed at age 18. And his dad said he was devastated, not because he was diagnosed, but that he missed it. So all those years where he's in education, he's messing around, or whatever his reasons were for him not to be able to regulate. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. All those like vital years of, you know, where we could have really understood and supported them and given like a structure. So we use a terminology in our school, it's a pathway to independence. So we give them that guidance to pathway to independence. And that the dad I was speaking about, he said, I was just absolutely devastated that it took me 18 years to recognise that my son needed that support. I mean, now Alhamdulillah, he's been going to therapy and he's been getting the help that he needs. Another thing that all Pakistanis, girls especially, please go. You know, even if you're Alhamdulillah, your life has been good, it's really, really important to you know, have that.
Because I even now, I think, and I sit back in the journey to discover the best on you, I even feel that even a very normal person, we need these tips of self-regulation, right?
Absolutely.
So sometimes we are just like, we are very normal people, but many a times even at our own homes, you know, there are environments like, you know, just like when you were showing me a picture right now of your sister. Tell us about your sister, like what she was wearing, what was she called?
Ear defender. So I'm surprised, like, you know, those
and
things.
I have not heard of this term.
Heard of them, but again, it's for
so even for mothers also, sometimes you need those ear defenders, right? Because otherwise you need to regulate yourself.
So it's about emotionally regulating ourselves and sensory regulating. So a lot of our so those ear defenders are there just to block out those noises in the kids that are, for us, they're just noise, and we can overcome them for people who are neurotypical, so have no ADHD or autism or whatever. But for neurodiverse kids, those noises are heightened. So it's something really small that doesn't bother us really, really bothers them. So these noises in classroom really bother them. It affects their learning, it affects them regulating themselves, and they can't focus. So the ear defenders help. Another thing you might notice a lot with our autistic children, and is the tiptoeing. They tiptoe because the sensory overload of the pressure on their feet, of the ground, is just too much. So they tiptoe just to relieve themselves. So when we see our kids, you know, we've seen autistic kids tiptoeing, you tell them, I don't know what's wrong with them, why they're tiptoeing, you know, our parents will tell them off. But really understand what's the reason behind. I think we're quick to judge of the reasoning, but it's good to understand why they're tiptoeing. There must be something behind the why they're really upset. When, you know, in our culture we go to dawats every day and family functions and everyone's around. Your kid might be upstairs hiding in his room, and I don't know why he's like this, why does he do this? Understand the deeper reasoning.
Subhanallah.
There's a deeper reasoning to all of it.
All of it, that's true. So on the same note, the ear defenders, when you use that term, that, and then, you know, like you told about your sister, and we will talk more about what she's doing, I was thinking that subhanallah, when we learn our Quran and Sunnah, and then when your question, like when did I start my channel, I realized, like, subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given us a lot of tools for this self-regulation. So even we as normal people, when we need to regulate, like the concept of saying a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, and then making the wudu, and then changing your position, all these things are part of regulation. But we don't realize them, or how few of the people even get educated about them, right?
But we're not focused enough, because we're too worried about everything else. So if we focus enough and say, okay, what is it that makes me happy? So for example, me, I come home from work, first thing I do is go to my room and close my door. And it's just me in my bed, feet up, and for 10 minutes silent. Not because
you're able to do that?
It comes with its challenges, but it just means giving them chocolate and sending them away somewhere. But it's just not because I don't love them, not because I don't, you know, care. Of course they're my children, but I need that 10 minutes of just regulating myself to prepare now, going from teacher mode to mum mode. But I need that 10 minutes, and they know it, so they know as soon as mum's doors close.
I think this is the best part that you shared, Sister Aisha, like that they know about it, because anything and everything is all about education, right? So just like now I am visualizing when I come home, the first thing that I have to do is take off my hijab pins. They have to go in the right spot. Then I have to walk. I have a room downstairs. I will just go put my hijab and my outfit over there, hang it over there properly. So if I can do those, I can add 5 minutes for my self-regulation also,
so
right?
That's your routine, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's my routine. And then I will roll my sleeves and maybe get into the kitchen to now start cooking or cleaning or whatever I need to do.
If I throw a curveball at you now and say, right, you've come home, you really want to take your hijab off, but someone's crying, then you have to attend to
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
and you run and attend to them.
Yeah.
Does it throw you off? Does it
Yeah.
think, are you not like frustrated now,
Yeah.
thinking, I haven't had a chance to do that?
Yeah.
That's our children every day when
Yeah.
we are taking them here, taking
Yeah,
them there. They're out
exactly.
of their routine, and
Yeah.
if we get frustrated with these small things, imagine
Yeah.
in their little mind where they're not understanding
Yeah.
of these social situations, how they struggle.
Yeah, so I had fast forward. Obviously, you'll park the car and
Yeah.
you emptied
Yeah.
all the groceries and you're
But
like
this is what I'm saying.
doing
We
all those
have our
things.
routine. And the minute
Yeah.
something throws off,
Yeah.
it really does upset you.
It does.
Really does
It
upset.
does.
I actually, so before I traveled the night,
Alhamdulillah.
it was like 2 nights ago.
Mhm.
I have a little cat in our house. My kids love him, and my daughter does this really annoying thing where wherever I sit, so everyone has a corner of the sofa. My corner of the sofa, she puts him there and she tucks him in a blanket like a baby.
Mm.
And I'm like, please, why always on my seat?
Yeah.
Why? And I have my dinner ready. I'm ready to sit down, and there's a cat in my seat. And I was like, I don't think I could do this today.
Yeah, yeah.
And I went and sat on the table with my son, and he looked at me and goes, it's okay, Mom. And I was like, okay, yeah, it's not that deep. But
Yeah.
it does really throw you off, because my routine is
Yeah.
I take my plate,
Yeah.
go sit where I sit on the
Yeah.
couch, and I eat my food.
Yeah.
And but my son could see it just absolutely threw me off, which made me laugh, because I do that to him when he gets really annoyed. And I said to him, it's okay, you can work through it.
Right.
But we have to give that understanding where they give it to us,
Right.
we give it to them. We are the biggest advocates. So I was going to say, before we started recording,
Yeah.
you said to me, oh, I feel really rude because I just asked that lady to
Yeah.
move.
Yeah.
And I said to you, absolutely you should.
Yeah.
Because why not?
Yeah.
Because if you don't advocate for your children, who else will?
Yeah, and this is also terminology that I would love to know, like have my, those who I interact with and those who come to the network, I want them to understand this advocacy was not something which was present in my life a
Yeah.
year ago. But now knowing the needs of my,
Absolutely.
you had the other needs also of your family, but then now with the little one, and you see that you're the only one for him there, so that makes you realize this terminology, and I came to know about that. We have to learn about.
We were talking about how,
and in the
our
pathway for
culture-
them, I think that's
Yes.
what they educate these kids to. Like you have to
But
be
this
advocate.
is it. But if we grew up in an era where our mum would say, no, move here so
Yeah.
so and so can sit down, move
Yeah.
do this so can
Yeah.
sit down. And what have we grown up to do? We've done the exact same
Right,
thing.
right.
But if our kids now say, actually, could you please wait for a minute? I'll let you take a seat.
Right.
But I just want to do this first. Or can you please just move because something's happening? If our children see us advocate for them, they will learn self-advocacy.
Right.
And that's so important, and it's such a huge tool for them to go up into the world where they're going to go to high schools, middle schools, to advocate for themselves and be able to say, actually no, I don't want to do this today, I don't like this, or whatever it is, because you want your children to have that voice. When your child comes home, oh, so-and-so pushed me, and you say, what did you do? And they said, we said nothing.
Yeah.
It really upsets you because
Yeah.
you think, why not?
And this topic is so important because this is what is needed even on a global level
Yeah,
also.
absolutely.
We have zero advocacy for ourselves. We don't know even how to speak for our own rights,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So as an ummah, as a...
So for you, when you said to the lady, oh, actually, do you mind moving? I just thought, absolutely, that's what you should be doing, and you shouldn't feel bad. You said to me, I feel really bad, but
Yeah.
that's a culture that we're slowly knocking out.
Yeah.
This new generation of mums, that's what we want to do. We want to knock these stigmas out, these rude things out, so our children can grow up to self-advocate.
And of course, it has to be done in a polite
Absolutely.
way, right? So
Absolutely.
advocacy does not mean that we just disregard anybody and
No.
everybody, but we do educate people, as to what the needs are, basically.
And I think generally people are okay with it. I
Yeah.
think you're too worried about how their reaction is,
Right.
but in reality they're actually quite okay with it. I mean, she said, oh, sorry, I didn't understand,
Right.
and she didn't move,
Right.
But the more you educated her about the implants, and it worked, and they take it really well. I don't
Right.
think you really will. It's very ignorant people that wouldn't
Right.
take it well, but generally they do take it well.
And if I connect this to the Quran again, so the words like "Qulu qawlan sadida," just say the straightforward talk. You
Yes.
don't have to beat about the bush. So
absolutely.
rather than expecting somebody to do something and not letting them know what needs to be done,
Yeah.
and then feeling bad about it, and
Yeah.
then doing backbiting,
Yeah.
it's better to let them
Just
know.
be honest, yeah.
So even right now, obviously we're sitting in the masjid, right? If people coming in, if there's a noise level, you can just let them know, hey, we are
Yeah.
trying to record something
Absolutely.
here,
Yeah.
and it's for the benefit of wider people. So we just need a little bit of your cooperation,
Yeah,
right? So
absolutely.
that's also
Absolutely.
advocacy. Yeah.
Absolutely. especially growing up young girls. You've got a daughter, I've got a daughter. I'm so passionate about my daughter using her voice, and she says to me sometimes, "Oh, I don't think I can say it." And I said, "You can say it in a polite way."
Yeah.
Say it in a
Give me
polite
an
way.
example for
So
all the girls out there.
she
Rising strong. And,
she has a friend from, and so like I said to you, we don't live in a large Muslim area, so we've got a couple of bits, and there's a boy called Harris in her class, and he's got ADHD, so he's very full on, and he's very too much, and she's a very sensitive girl, she says to me, "I absolutely love Harris, but he's sometimes too much." And I said, "What are you going to do about it?" And she said, "I feel if I tell him, he's going to tell everyone, no one's going to want to be my friend, and you know where they go in the bubble, and then I'm so worried about I'm not going to have any friends, no one's going to eat with me, and I'm going to be all alone." And it was a whole emotion. I said, "Okay, you need to pause for a second, you need to write it down." So first step I tell my kids is write it down. It's a trick that I started from the beginning just to get them to write, because they would never write, and now it's really actually helped them, because they can, instead of saying it all out, they can write it down, they can reflect on the words as well. So she wrote it all down. She said she was worried. She said she hadn't slept about it, which she hadn't told me. So she hadn't told me before that it was affecting her sleep. So she told me she hadn't slept, she was really stressed, and she was worried about her best friend Kyra finding out and Kyra not being friends with her. And I said, "Okay, so what do you do?" I said, "Because I can't control the situation, only you are in control, so what do you do from here?" She said, "I don't know." So I suggested that she rewrites it so it's not as blah, and she needs to just word it a little bit neater, and tell her teacher, so that the teacher has what I want my teacher to know box, so the kids can put any notes in. And I even sent an email in the morning, just said, "Look, Safia's going to be sending in a letter to go in there. It's about her friendship. It really means a lot to her. She's been quite upset. Do you mind paying attention to it?" So she replied straight away, "Absolutely, we'll look into it." And then when I picked my daughter up, all day I was anxious, how has this day gone? How has she managed to talk to Harris? And she said, well, the teacher said to her, you could say to him that actually today I'm going to play with this thing, but I'll come and join with you later, because she said he's still a friend and I still would like to keep him as a friend, but I just don't like him all the time. And I said, perfect, that works. And she said it did work. And she said, so even now she'll say it to her brother, she'll say to him, "Zachariah, can I play with this today and I'll come back to you tomorrow?" And he looks at me like, what is she doing? Because he's a big brother and he never gets no. And I was like, well, she said it, you just have to follow it. And it really does work, but we have to advocate for it. We have to encourage them.
And this is such a practical example, because this is something that we come across every day, learning to say no in a creative way. So
a polite
it's
way,
we all
just
need
say
it.
to him, I need to, actually today I'm going to do this. How about tomorrow we do that together? And it's not being mean, it's not being malicious, and it's not throwing a friendship, or because they're very young, so they'll be best friends today, tomorrow they'll hate each other, and then the next day they hate each other, and they'll love each other in a week later. I'm not one of those parents who gets involved in friendships, because I think they work it out. Essentially they will work it out, but she needs to learn that I can't just say what I'm thinking straight on the spot. It gives you a moment to reflect on what you're thinking.
I think I took a lot of takeaways from this. Like, one, obviously pen it down. So we just write those, and then take a look again as to what you've written down, and then having a consultation, which is Surah Shura, right? So you consult with each other as a family, also as a circle with the teacher, also educators involved. You have that consultation whenever you're going through something, speaking about.
If you think about it, we're all a community, even though we, you might feel like you're not around everyone, but when you're working with your children, the shopkeepers are part of that community, making sure that you advocate for your children, for them, because the more you build that relationship, the greater it goes. The teachers, your neighbours, everyone can build that community for your kid, but you have to start the advocating to teach them to do the advocating for themselves.
Sounds great. So tell us something about the book project that you were explaining about. So, because as we were talking about, in Muslim community especially, we do not have many people knowing about these needs.
So my sister-in-law, my husband's sister, her name is Neelam Khan. So she has an Instagram page and everything else. Neelam Khan, author, if you look her up. But she has 4 children, Alhamdulillah. Her 2 eldest daughter and her middle daughter are both autism, have both been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder condition, depending on where you are. And she started advocating and just really researching into it, just like how you've now learned with the cochlear implant. It becomes your life. It takes over everything
Right.
you do, because you want to know more and advocate for your child. So she started doing more. So her eldest daughter, when I think she was around 3-4, is where she started to see the autism traits, but she kept just kind of holding it on until she was 5. She got diagnosed with it, and then it's just learning to manage with it. So now she's done, she's created a book called Bilal's Bad Day, which teaches loads of techniques, du'as and breathing techniques and all sorts of things that we would teach our non-Muslim diverse children about it. And she's put it in Islamic ways, putting du'as in place and things that her children can do to help regulate themselves. So again, it's about teaching our kids to regulate themselves. What do your kids do to regulate themselves? So breathing techniques and du'as, but look into it. She's just done amazing absolutely amazing
you know
stuff.
Now, like when we are sitting here, imagine like we're talking about her, subhanallah. So when people open up, they share. So even like, let's say this video, when somebody listens to it, they have some technique or something that works, and they put it as a comment, even a single line of comment. This puts them into that category, like Rabbi Habli Hukma and Sidkin fil Akhirin, like your mention is mentioned in the later generation, right? So if it's benefiting you and you're opening yourself up to benefiting the community, the reward is getting multiplied, and then inshallah it has the best of both worlds. But so much of our Muslim community has to come forward, and especially in these areas.
Absolutely. I think like I said at the beginning, South Asian communities, we've really missed that.
Because even on the other side spectrum, Aisha, what I see is like normal functioning kids. The kids just have a dream. Like I happen to be the mother of 3 hufaz. Like my 3 of my older kids, all 3 memorize the Quran. So my college-going son, and then my twin daughters who are in high school right now. So I see some kids, the parents just have that ambition. Oh, my child will be a Hafiz of Quran, and they just put him there. And this kid is not.
They're not there.
They're not there. They're not ready for it. It's not their cup of tea. You can say, the parent themselves, they have not experienced it. Like how much effort do you need for that? And then it's just a constant push. And I all of a sudden sometimes I feel those kids have lost that light, in them. So you have that love for learning all of a sudden is like dying out.
It's gone, and you hold resentment as well, which is not how you.
So they're just doing it for the parents' sake.
For the parents, not for the right reason.
Not for the right reason. So there needs to be a more careful insight into even those areas, like which careers you are pushing your child towards, or what.
Absolutely.
So that
I
is.
think what our parents miss is like listening to. Stop listening to the communities, because they go down to their family's house and my daughter's becoming a doctor, my son's becoming a dentist, he's becoming a lawyer, and then you put those pressures on your children of, as soon as your results come out, so-and-so son got an A, and why would you get a B, and da-da-da. And it's like, B's a very good grade. Don't be upset with that, but that's the pressures we put on our children.
Subhanallah. And even yesterday I do Rising Stars, so we have like a school in which we have like a weekend school basically. So I was reflecting more on that. I was standing with somebody and I was telling them, nowadays with the internet and the technology that we have, what I see, even if you're good at making samosas and you're good at it and you're passionate about it, you can be a billionaire making samosas, right?
Absolutely.
So whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you the talent, like if you're good at fencing, if you are good at some other sports, you are good at something else, there is something like Allah has shakila for everything. So when we compare our kids and we try to put one in the other, so that becomes challenging, right?
So it was like I was telling you before we started recording about the kids that I've supported, and now they've finished their GCSEs.
Yes, please tell me again about it. Yeah, that's a very good point you brought back.
So we've had a range of students, and the 4 boys that I'm mainly doing. So I've known them since year 8, and they finished year 11. So I've known them for a really long time. Absolutely adore them. I call them my second babies, really, because I absolutely adore working with them. But they, so I'd say 3 out of the 4, high functioning and quite high academics. So 2 of them got passed like with flying colours, so something American equivalent of A's. The other one got B's and C's, but still really, really good, going to a really prestigious college after this, and then going into university. The 4th one, bless his soul, he really, really struggled with academic side of it. And it wasn't that he wasn't trying, he was trying, but he just couldn't retain that information, and retaining it was really difficult for him. So for us, it was like, we need him to pass, doesn't matter what level of passing. and they will all go to their own careers, but for him it's just passing, so whatever his next steps are, he can get into it. So in the UK it works that you must have English and Maths GCSE. You must have that for any job you go into. That's your minimum requirement.
English and Maths?
English and Maths, and that's it.
Okay.
So you can get all your other stuff. So you get to choose what subjects you do, but English, Maths, Science you must do, and then you get to choose 4 more subjects. And he did 3D design, which is like technology with woodwork and all of that. He did sociology, religious studies and history. And he said to me, I took sociology because I needed to fill a gap, so we knew straight away his heart wasn't into it. Religious study, he goes, well, I know you. That's what he said to me. He's got no religion background, he's English, and he goes, well, I know you.
And then this is not an Islamic school, basically. I just want to repeat that this is not an Islamic school.
It's not an Islamic school, so the 2 religions of GCSE they studied were Christianity and Islam. So he goes, well, I know you can help me. And I was like, I don't think that's how it works, but let's see how you get on. And then the other one was history, and he said, actually, I enjoy history. So I was like, okay, perfect. So he passed his English, he passed his Maths, again, not amazing grades, but passable, absolutely amazing for him. Passed his history, did not pass religious studies, and he said to me, he goes, it's your fault. And I was like, absolutely not. I said, you can't write in the thing, oh, I know Miss and she's okay. But it was fine because he got the ones that we needed, and now he's gone into mechanics into a local college, starts at level 1, and he's gone, and he was always passionate about cars. He would show me every day the bikes that he's opened and the cars he's opened. His dad had a Harley Davidson motorbike, and he would show me, you know, what he's done with the Harley over the weekend and whatever. So again, they've gone all taken different routes. One of them's gone to coding, one's gone to Formula One, aerodynamics or something, quite fancy. The other ones I said has gone to a really good college to study history, and the last one, Jake, he's gone into mechanics, which is just basic for him, but he's got what he wanted, and that's ultimately what we care for. If we think of our children, that's what we want. And his mum at the end said, I am so happy because I didn't think it was going to happen. She really said, she goes, I was ready for him to stay in my bedroom in the house until he was 30. She goes, I was ready in that mentality, thinking that was going to happen for him, because in his younger years he was that typical naughty ADHD kid. You know, not listening, running around, screaming, leaving the classroom, all of those.
And it's a long journey. It's a really long journey. But this can be really enjoyable when you have the right education and you have the right team, you know, like working with you.
When he first joined, oh my God, it was like, the hardest work I've ever had. And I said to him, you literally make me bang my head on the wall sometimes, because you just sit there and you wouldn't do it.
I can totally relate to this, you know, Aisha, because I teach, and you know, like this year, like I have been moved to like a higher grade. So sometimes you get into the staff room and you see a teacher, you know, and they're talking about a certain child, and you're like, you know what, we have come a long way. You got him in the 3rd year, so we have worked really hard. The first 2 years are behind you.
So I always said, I think it was his last year he got a new history teacher, so he's had the same history teacher forever, and there's a new one, and she's like, I don't know what to do with him, he's just absolutely driving me up the wall. And I was like, I promise you, Laurie, he's the best he's ever been. So whatever you've got, take it, and then
move on from there.
I think she kind of really understood him, you know, towards the end, and she managed to get him somehow round, and he passed history, which was great.
I'm gonna like take a pause and give a message to the educators out there. Some of the educators themselves, sometimes they might be having a rough day. You know, Bilal's having a bad day, but I guess everybody has a bad day.
Everybody has a bad day. This is it.
But then you are impacting somebody's life. Genuinely, you are in there. So you know, if you don't feel like it, don't come to work. I feel like this. Like, you know, if you have taken up this job, then, you know, as parents, you cannot take off. You know, you're just signed up. You know, so you are there. You're there.
Do you know what? The kids.
But as educators, like when you're dealing with special needs, especially, and even as a regular child, I feel it's such a huge amana that if you don't feel like if you are having a bad day, please don't bring it to your students. Don't bring it to your
kids. Absolutely. Adore you and think of you. And
exactly.
it's like a good and a bad thing, but I live next to my local school, so when I go to the shops, oh my god, it's Miss, it's Miss, and I'm like, oh god, here we go. I go for a walk, and it's, oh my god, quick, it's Miss, Miss, come sit with us, and it's all of that. But at first, I was really terrified, thinking, oh my god, all I'm going to do is bump into kids. And then I realised the more I went, they actually really were excited to see me, not because of anything else, but they're really excited. We've spent so much hours and time in lessons, and they're really excited. They're like, come sit, join me. And I was like, I'd prefer to go on my walk. We're out of hours, you enjoy your afternoon, let me enjoy my afternoon. But they really, really mean a lot. So if I went into the school and I was awful and miserable and not going in, like how you said, enjoying it, they definitely won't be calling out saying,
so I think this is something, a conscious decision that we all need to take as parents, as educators, that be thankful for what we got, and then try to move a step ahead from there. So, and that's where the word comes to my mind, that at least I anchor on, is from Surah Al-Mulk. Every night that we say, ayyukum ahsanu amala, which one of you are the best in good deeds, right? So am I doing the best with this child? Is my behavior the best? Like, am I keeping my calm? So that's the kind of things.
And the kids pick up on your energy. They really do. And if you've gone in with this awful attitude, you're not going to get the best out of them.
I happened to teach a class, and in that class there was one child whose anger is like, I started noticing things that there's something going on. So then I started going in investigation. So here is a message for the administration and all those as well, that it's good to pre-educate, rather than, when you're working in a professional environment, we should be diligent in finding out what's going on and informing everybody. So anyways, when I did my investigation, I found out, okay, there are things going on. But the beauty of this is that you take it as a challenge and you work with that, and it's so amazing. Like, I think probably third or fourth session, this child, he comes to me in the middle of the class, and he just gives me a hug, and then he whispers in my ears and he says, you know what, Jannah starts with J and Javeria starts with J too. And it was so unexpected because of all the, like, he literally breaks pencils and he would literally do things, and I was like, what's going on here? There's something going on here. So this is where the Prophet ﷺ also said, right, like, this is where our religion teaches us ta'leef qabla ta'leem. Sometimes as educators we want to just teach our lesson plan, but that's not what it's about. It's about first having that connection, and then comes the correction, right? So
absolutely. So with that, I'd say then, working in the field I've worked for so long, look into I forgot the word, emotional regulation board. So it's an emotional regulation board which has blue, which means tired, lazy, whatever, and it has faces to show the emotions. Green, happy, excited, blah blah. Yellow is silly, worried, anxious, and then red is very angry and whatever. And every morning I have a Velcro with the kid's name on, and I get my name on, and I'll put myself on, sometimes on the blue, sometimes on the yellow, whatever I'm feeling, sometimes on the green. And for them to see that I'm also regulating my emotions, and all these emotions fit into different categories, and I'll put myself on there, and they'll sometimes ask me, why have you chosen yellow? And I said, actually, I'm really, really excited today because, I've got this after school today, so I'm really excited. So
where is this coming from? This is like,
it's part of our autism.
Is it like good to know those, label those emotions?
So it's really,
because
really
over
good.
the last 20 years I've seen these colors. Sometimes it's some come with this theory, and some say, oh no, it's not a good idea to.
I think it's really good because it gets the kids to recognize their feelings, recognize their emotions. So they'll come in, they'll choose, and they'll look at them sometimes, and they'll really think about it, especially when they're first introduced to the idea.
But the whole day they will stay at the same color, or they?
Absolutely not. They can go at any point and change. And actually,
so they will change it by themselves?
Yeah, they go up to the board whenever they want. And what I've done is also, this is a new thing I started actually last week with one of my boys, which he's one of those autistic kids who just says it, and sometimes you think, oh, you really shouldn't have said that, that wasn't the right thing to say at that point. And he actually, a really funny story, I said to him, I'm so proud of him, he's doing amazing, give me a high five. And he gave me a high five, and then he goes, oh god, those hands are dry. And I was like, oh my god. So he's just one of those, and he doesn't mean offense by it, but he just says things without thinking. There's no filter in there. So he's kept getting in trouble in lessons because every time Mr. Johnson would go up to the board, he goes, here we go again. Every time, it was without fail, and the teacher was like, right, enough is enough, I've had enough. And I gave him a book, a notepad, same thing, and I said to him, write down what lessons you have, break, lunch, whatever, write down and tell me how you're feeling in those lessons. help yourself regulate already before the lessons. And he absolutely hates maths, and he wrote there, my brain is not braining today. I hate maths, it's too complicated. And he's never said that conversation to us. He's always just said, oh, I hate it. But he's actually not told us the reasons why. He's obviously struggling. What can I do to help him? And we were doing algebra, collecting like terms, so this is just going too deep into it. But all I had to do is collect different colours of highlighters and highlighting the like terms, the same highlighters. The boy finished the whole sheet. And he was like, I was like, well, you've written my brain is not braining and maths is not hard, but you finished a whole sheet. And he had a big smile on his face and he crossed it all off and he said, good. He wrote good. He also wrote that he was going to have a juicy nectarine for break, but it really does help them regulate. So these boards, these sensory things, these writing things down, I'm a big advocate for giving them a notepad, and if it means some of them just do scribbles, if it's an outlet on there, that's fine.
I think maybe if you can send me like a picture of that,
Absolutely.
if you have the room, then we can maybe append to it and see
Absolutely.
people. I'm listening to all this, I'm thinking like even many of the marital relationships would be so better if we have that sensory board in the house too.
You do. Your husband comes in
like,
thinking he's
I'm
really
overwhelmed,
excited, and you're like, no, she's in the red wig, I better not say anything to her tonight, she'll leave her to it. But this is it.
And there are some days when you are like, overwhelmed, but you need a hug and
But this is it, and they're like sitting on the TV watching the game or something. But they need, we all need that. We all need to express ourselves whichever way is possible. I do love the writing pads, writing ideas, because it's things that they feel like they can't verbally say, they write it down, and it really does help them. And he said to me, I thought today was going to be an awful day, but it turned out to be one of my best days. But because he just got to write it down, I mean, it's not always feasible. So
we are losing touch with writing a lot.
Absolutely.
Like with the new era. But even right now, when we landed and Kik was coming out of the flight, so when they landed, it was like a survey popped up on the Saudi Airlines prompt, like how was your flight? So even that question, and then giving me those 5 options, and I'm like consciously pressed 5, at least I thought about it, like how was my experience? And I was like, Alhamdulillah, like the best part that they have given you a prayer room. It took away like 9 people seating there, and it just gave you a room where you can pray, you can sit down, you can lay down. So that's something amazing. But again, even within the hostesses also, you see that some of them are very well regulated, like they can handle the questions and everything, but some of them, they just
I was really lucky. I think I got really quite fortunate. But when you think about it now, you've got that survey. It gave you a moment to stop and think. If somebody asked you now, "Oh, how was your trip?" Fine, okay. And you just want them to go. You want them to leave. If you have a moment to stop, it makes such.
And I think if we really want to get more from our life, if we give ourselves those frequent stops, like am I really enjoying this, or what could have been better, then that really helps us overall in life as well.
Do you when you are at home and kids are at school, how do you now regulate yourselves?
It's a very good question. I think I am struggling, like this whole year has been too much for us. There's a lot of things. 3 of us traveled last year, and all 3, like I had a gallbladder surgery, then he had this, and so I think how do I regulate myself? It's a good question. I think I've been banking on eating a lot, which is turning into a lot of weight that is not coming down.
But my question was just to get you to think, not because I think you'd have it figured out, but get you to think about it.
So it's my peanut bags which is coming out, and I'm like crushing the peanuts and eating and trying to see. So honestly, I've been saying this to those people who are interact with on a daily basis, that right now this year I just tell myself that I have to survive this day, because of so many appointments and things, and then that has given me much more empathy towards people who deal with this on a daily basis. Like subhanallah, now dealing with people like with something that happened with my son, there is some solution for it, and then you work towards it, and now mashallah he's saying I love you, and he's saying those words, and they have come on, right? But the people for whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has just placed like a stopping there, like cerebral palsy and certain other, like I've recently come to know about 504 document and things like that. I don't know if you'd be familiar with 504 is again a certain set of expectations that a child is not diagnosed ADHD, but they need a certain accommodations to be made as an educator. So if let's say a child needs 30 minutes to attempt a quiz or a test, this child will get 45 minutes an hour.
Oh right, so we call it EAA, exam access arrangements.
Okay, and same thing in the classroom also. This child will come with a certain set of accommodations. And then I think I am like thinking too much about like where do I play my part, like
Yeah.
so when you start dealing with these kids, you become so attached to
Yeah.
them. So yes, their doctor has prescribed a medication, yes, you're getting from your peers that, oh, this and this time he's
Yeah.
going to get another dose, or this child is acting up, but you're trying to actually question, like, are
Does
we
it
the
even-
ones
yeah.
like aggravating the situations,
Yeah.
or are we helping the
Yeah.
situations, or can we recommend something better for
Yeah.
this child?
So we like I said, autism and ADHD work very hand in hand. So
Yeah.
the likeliness of someone has autism and ADHD is very high. So we have a new starter who started in year 7, and I don't know if you've ever watched Friends.
I think
Have
I
you
have
watched
a
Friends?
little line.
There's Alec Baldwin's character was Phoebe's boyfriend in there, and he's just like, oh my god, this is just so beautiful, isn't this so amazing, and look at this laptop, isn't this laptop so amazing. He's like this, and this boy who's joined is the exact same thing. At 7:45 in the morning, he comes in like, oh my god, Miss Alif, isn't this so beautiful, you look so lovely this morning, and blah blah blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my god, David, shh, please, I've not had my coffee, please stop. And his parents have chosen not to have him medicated for ADHD. So his autism is not as visible because his ADHD is really overtaking. And it's a really hard balance. But every parent has their own choice. Every parent has their own right to decide how, you know, they deal with these things with their children. But she was really adamant that when he has his medication, it's not him. And I can see that, you know, because ADHD, we've seen our kids who we do medicate, but so we've had a conversation. We said, look, absolutely we understand, but maybe try and consider taking it in the morning, just so he's focused in lessons. It doesn't take David away from David, but it just means that he's a little bit calmer, a little bit more focused, and then when he comes home, it would have worn off by that point, and you get to have David as it is. But we've had parents who don't agree with it. We've had parents who do agree with it. We've had some calm patches. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
What is that?
Calm patches. They're like these patches that I don't know.
Oh, I saw I saw online that a teacher was putting them on in a preschool, and that was like a big thing. Like this teacher, like they walked in, and
Yeah.
some parent came to pick their child early,
Right.
like in the 0 to 3 year category
Right.
kids.
Oh my god.
And she was putting those calm patches on them just so that she has like an easier
An easy
day.
Oh my god.
And
Okay,
that was
yeah,
a big
that's
thing.
no,
So that's
no.
how I got educated
Yeah.
about
So
it. So it's like-
the mum has given these to
and
her
Allah
son.
knows best, like what
Yeah.
was the real story, because sometimes people can frame you
It's
up as
true.
well. But
It's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
But she's given these to David now for him to use
Uh-huh.
when he feels.
So what happens with them? Like it's
they're
actually
meant to. I don't know what a hormone is in there to help them calm down a little bit, but it's essentially just meant to help them calm, focus them up a little bit. But
there's something
I
like
think
that for mothers and
exactly.
educators.
Maybe I need it
Have
for
you heard
myself
of
when
it?
when my kids come, when I come in from work, my kids are thinking, right, let's put that on. She can't have those 10 minutes that she wants.
That's good that you
Yeah.
brought that back up. I think we would like to know
Yeah.
more about it. What
Because,
happens
you
in
know,
those 10 minutes?
It's just me sitting in silence.
Okay.
Genuinely sitting in silence,
Okay.
and then I get up, and then it's homeworks, and you know my kids love to ride their bike, so
So when like a person like you, I'm doubting that it would be silence.
it's not.
Or do you like
it's
sleep?
Not. No. Sit in my bed. 10 minutes, just quiet. Because
Give
I
me your
need-
day routine. Like you started your day
I
at
start
what
my
time?
morning at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
It's a drag. I hate it, but it just helps me. So my husband does drop-offs for our kids because I
Okay.
have to go into work early and he works from home. But then that means everything for him to be prepared to leave the house needs to be done. So the kids' uniforms are out. I try and get my own lunch is done. Everything else is done in the house, and then I leave at 7:30.
Okay.
And then I walk into work. It's a 15-20 minute walk. We're just trying to get there a little bit on time, and then finish work, finish at 3. I pick my daughter, so the primary school that she's in is right next door to the secondary school. So I finish work, pick her up, and then we come home together. And then that's me in my bedroom. Take my hijab, like you said, take hijab off. My magnets have a little pot that they sit in, and I sit in my bed for 10 minutes. And then they usually, as well, to be fair, they've kind of got used to this routine of they take their bags off, get out their uniforms, go get a snack, sit down on the TV for 10 minutes while mum just sets herself ready to go. And then it's like, okay, who has what homework, who has not. I ideally try not to get any homework in the weekday. I try and get it all done on Saturday night. So it's like the worst day to do it, but it works for us. It works to get the whole week's homework done on Saturday. And then, the kids love to cycling a lot, so I get their bikes out, tell them to go into the back garden. We've got a stream round the back of our house, so they just ride their bikes really. And I get to make dinner, get everything else ready, and we have dinner for 5-6 o'clock, aim 5-6 o'clock, because that's my husband's just finished working, so he can sit and join with us, have dinner, and then I go for a walk in the evenings. I love my evening walk, and it's just me putting my headphones on, listening to a podcast, whatever I'm listening to, and I go for a walk. 2 hours sometimes.
2 hours?
Honestly, it's the best thing I do. It's the best thing I do. So when I self-regulate, those are my two things that I absolutely do. Over the summer holidays, it was in the morning, so because I was used to getting up at 6, I'd get up at 6, go for my 2-hour walk, come home. They've just got up, and my day would start with them and doing stuff with them. But I really pride myself in taking that time for myself, and I know it's really hard for mums to do that, and I know I've got sisters and sisters-in-laws.
Again, you will be judged by many.
Absolutely. My sister, look, I've travelled here to Pakistan and come here for 28 days without either of my kids. And
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And everyone's like, oh my God, how could she do this? How could she do that? First thing, Alhamdulillah, subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me an amazing husband who's really, really supportive. So he knows if I need to go for a walk, he just lets me do it. If this trip for me is really important, and he was like, absolutely go, it's fine, I'll have them. So it's really 50-50 now. So there's no, I do certain things, he does the cooking, he'll help with the cleaning, maybe not the laundry, that's my thing, but I'm okay with that. He's just really, really hands-on. And yeah, I do a lot. I do really pride myself in taking that time for myself. And I give it to my children.
So what's the main goal for the trip?
So I haven't seen my family in forever. So my dad lives here, my dad's moved here.
So how long have you not seen him?
13 years.
13 years?
Yeah.
And he's not come to...
No, well he has, but then he once he moved here, he was like, I moved here. But my mum and my sisters and my brothers they've all gone back and forward all the time. He hasn't, but they all go. And for me, because they all live up north in Yorkshire, I live down south in London. I've just never made the trip, so I was like, I'm gonna just do it. If I don't do it now, I never will.
And especially I have crossed that age in which we are hearing things from friends and you're like, when are you going to take time? We are also coming mid of the school year right now. It was not easy giving substitute for every every place that you are at, giving a substitute, setting expectations and all those kind of things.
Even for me, so I've had to just say, look, please, it's exceptional circumstances, please give me these 2 weeks. So we have a half-term break.
And you paired that up with
the tail end of it gets on there, so they just have to kind of deal with that. I'm like, you'll survive, it's fine. But yeah, for me, taking that time out is so important, and I really want that for my kids as well. So my kids will go to their room and they'll say, actually, Mum, can I have 20 minutes on silence? And I have to respect that. And I grew up in a house and Mum was like, no, absolutely not, you come downstairs and you do it.
Listen to me right now.
Absolutely. You haven't done your homework, the dishes not done, whatever it might be. We weren't allowed to have that, but you have to respect the kids. It's hard at times, especially when they've got homework. And I say to him very clearly, okay, I can give you the 20 minutes, but then if you have not done your homework, it's on you. And I actually left it one day where I left him and I didn't remind him about the homework. He went to school, realised he forgot, he got a detention, and he came because you didn't remind me. I said, son, this is a life lesson, you kind of have to learn that I can't hold your hand through all of these things. My daughter, again, same for her, she has to have something that helps her regulate. If that means she sits on an iPad without anyone else telling her about homework, I have to respect that and give that to her. And the same will go to my husband. He will do things, he goes to the gym often. That's his way of self-regulate, that's a way for him.
And I love this term, and I think many will benefit from the ideas here, once you have a household that understands what is self-regulation and how you use it for good for each other, and you have the proper way of communication, then the whole house works in a great way. So in our trip, in this journey that we have made for these 2 weeks, we are coming to Pakistan. There's a wedding in my mom is 9 brothers and sisters. So the last of our cousins, one of my uncles, his son, my mom's son, he's last of the family generation, getting married. So within this this entry year, we plan we come and we get to meet everybody also, and we miss our parents obviously living far. So then we had a conversation in our house that who can go, And then that conversation, it's so important to sit down and see,
Yeah.
like, and value, like, yes, everybody's work is important.
Absolutely.
So yes, emotions are there, but at the same time, that reality also has to be checked. So
Absolutely.
in this trip, our son and the other daughter, she is helping some organizations also. Even as a high schooler, she's involved with certain organizations, helping with Muslim Order Project and for Gaza events and things like that. Huh? You need it. So that's how we planned that. Okay, who can go and who cannot go. So then it was totally respected, like who can come. So Alhamdulillah. Okay. All right, you got it. So this is a reality show, right?
this
So we
is it.
now have food
Reality
here,
of
Alhamdulillah.
mums.
So I think we took away a lot of good stuff. So if there's one thing that you would like to give an advice or suggestion to somebody going
Final
on this
words
journey.
of wisdom.
Yeah.
Final words of wisdom, definitely for
What do you
us
call it?
mums.
Closing ticket in
Closing
your
ticket.
class, in your classroom, or what is it?
It's like everyone shush, listen to me. Mrs.
One, two,
talking.
three, eyes
Yes,
on me.
Eyes on me. Absolutely advocate for yourself and your children. There's, no one else can do it for you or for your children. You have to do it. Don't feel embarrassed or feel ashamed, because we've all got a voice and we have to use it for our better. And if it means the opposite's gonna negatively affect you or your children, why would you put that on yourself or put that on your children? Teach them, let them witness you do it.
Right.
I think also for the South Asian community to really, really look into neurodiversity. I think there's a lot of us undiagnosed out there because we're hidden and compressed into this, molded into the form where society wants us, but we've been told that's how it is.
True.
So look into yourself, look into your children, see if there are traits in there, and support each other. I think also being really supporting of each other. I think look into each other. Your podcast is, I'm going to go back now, share it into it. I've told you about my sister-in-law, Neelam Khan. Look into
we
all
will
of these
put her
absolutely,
in the links
but
too.
look into it, just reach out to one another. It's
On that note, is there something that exists for adult diagnostic, or is it like an age after that you say, oh no,
I don't know.
you're in
Maybe
that
there must-
case?
I think that's it. You're molded in society, but you know what? I think the more you go into it, as you get older, you realize your traits and you let go. I've learned to let go. I've learned to let go of judgment. I don't really care.
Yeah.
I'm going now to Pakistan, which I'm sure there's going to be lots of judgment. I'm prepared for it, but I'm at that stage where I don't really care anymore. So if you're going to go home, you're going to talk about me, it's okay. I've done what I want to do. I feel comfortable. I've had a nice time. Don't feel afraid of people's opinion. Doesn't matter what law get there.
And actually, when you are saying it, and obviously I get to see you also, so it looks so easy and so natural and everything, but it's years of work behind it.
Years of work.
Years
and
of
I
work.
know,
So there's so many
so
girls out
many-
there who are suffering and they're not at that stage.
But it does. First stage is recognizing it, and it takes a lot of work. It's really hard for us. It really was hard for me, and I get really upset. And it was actually my husband who said to me, he goes, but why do you care that much? And my older brother, actually, he's very big on why do you care? And I was like, because it matters. And goes, to who? And I was like, goes, does it matter to you? And I'm like, no. And he goes, then why would you care if it mattered to so and so? And I was like, actually, you're right. But it
takes
time.
time.
It does take time when we, learning these things. So that would be my final words of wisdom.
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
This has been spontaneous but amazing.
And then Azia incorporated by sleeping through it. I'll try to take a picture maybe and a pen with it, and all our what do you say, non-registered participants, guests all around us in the mosque. They might be thinking, what are these girls doing? Good, it was not salah time, it was not like a time for prayer, so we didn't disturb anybody, everybody's just having a good time, Alhamdulillah. So yes, we can discover the best in us, and yes, we can support each other. So inshallah, I walk away with pledging that yes, we need to support each other more often. We'll definitely look into that, because yes, Bilal has a bad day, but we have a bad day too. And we all need to understand those sentiments. So Jazakumullah khair. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to do much more for our communities, inshallah. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun alal mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. I think just as a final leaving, I just would ask the audience to go ahead and grab that pen and write their feelings. How are you feeling when you started, and how are you feeling right now? So we're all real human beings, and we all go through ups and downs. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put us through a challenge, especially in terms of a special need child or anything, then then we need to remember that special kids come to special people too.
Absolutely.
Even as an educator, or even
Absolutely.
as a, you know, homemaker, or anybody.
Whichever role you're in.
Yeah, or even if you're just sitting next to one, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us more empathetic towards
Absolutely.
each other's needs, inshallah. Alright, jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.